ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends, this is video number 2 on Sarasvati Upanishad. This video starts with Devta Prarthana, prayer for invoking the goddess. The sages now sing hymns in praises of goddess Sarasvati in order to invoke her blessings. The text and language of the following verses show that these hymns were composed much later after Rig Vedic era. Stanza number 36. Chaturmukh mukhambhojan hans vadhurmam manase ramtam nityam sarasukla saraswati. The power of energy vadhu of universal spirit symbolized as swan full of pure white color light, Sarva Sukla amidst the cluster Vana of four faces, Chaturmukh symbolizing the knowledge of four Vedas, with beaming lotus face, Mukha Ambhos, may the goddess Saraswati always dwell in my mind. The goddess Saraswati is the Jnana Shakti, power of wisdom of non-dual Brahma. Since this power of wisdom is absolutely pure, she is described here as white and dazzling. She has a form of pure white light who dispels the darkness of ignorance. Clad in spotless white, seated on the white lotus, wearing ornaments of pearls and white crystals, gems, holding a crystal white rosary, riding on a white swan and radiating light, the goddess Saraswati personifies purity and immortality. This verse describes her as the five-faced goddess, which represents her Mahasaraswati aspect who dwells in the minds of all noble people. Sages pray to Goddess Saraswati to dwell in their minds so that their ignorance is eradicated, leading to divine knowledge. Stanza 37. Namaste Sharde Devi Kashmir Purvashini Tvamaham Parthye Nityam Vidyadanam Cha Dehi Me. Prostration to thee, O Goddess Sharda, dweller of the city of Kashmir, I always pray to you, grant me the gift of Vidya, enlightenment. Sharda is the name of a particular form of the goddess Saraswati. Once upon a time, Kashmir was considered to be the highest seat of learning. There is stated to be a temple of goddess Sharda with a throne of omniscience inside it. Only a person who had attained enlightenment and a state of omniscience could ascend this throne. Vidya is that which brings about illumination of the soul. This inner illumination or enlightenment grants freedom to the soul. Thus it is said, Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. Vidya is that which liberates. This Vidya includes both Apravidya, lower or mental or secular knowledge, and Pravidya, Brahma Vidya, higher or superconscious realization. The Vedas call Goddess Saraswati as Trividya. Tri means protector. Thus the goddess Saraswati protects the devotee by bestowing both pra and apra vidya. Stanza number 38. अक्षर सूत्रांग कुशधरा पाशे पुस्तक धारिणी मुक्ता हार समायुक्ता वाची तिष्ठतु मे sada. O goddess, holding in thy hands the string of beads, symbols of mystical knowledge, the god, symbol of stimulating noble thoughts, the nose, symbol of control over mind, the book, symbol of secular knowledge, wearing the necklace of pearls, symbol of purity, thou ever dwell in my speech. The goddess Sarasvati is the personification of all knowledge like art, science, music, poetry, etc. She has been depicted here as holding Akshutra, Mala or rosary, Ankusha, gourd, Pasha, nose and Pustaka book in her forearms. Her forearms symbolizes her sovereign power over the creation. The rosary symbolizes spiritual or mystical science acquired through spiritual practices like meditation, japa, etc. The book symbolizes secular knowledge or material science. She holds a rosary in the right hand and a book in the left hand, which symbolizes that spiritual knowledge is superior to secular knowledge. The god symbolizes that the goddess is the awakener of noble thoughts in the minds of the devotee. She sets the mind of the devotee free from animal instincts and thus helps in mind restraint. The nose symbolizes the control which she exercises over the mind and the vital forces for the evolution of the soul. Stanza 39. Kambo Kanthi Sota Sutramoshti Sarvabharbhusita Mahasaraswati Devi Jinghagre Sanniveshatam. The neck, Kantha like a conch, Kambu with 3 marks on the shell-like neck, indicative of good fortune. Thy beautiful deep red tamra lips, Oshti, thou adorned with all kinds of jewels, O great goddess Sarasvati, thus reside on the tip of my tongue. In this hymen, Sarasvati is invoked as the goddess of fortune, who bestows upon the devotee goodness, purity, holiness, and perfection. The sages plead the goddess to dwell on the tongue tip because it is responsible for the harsh or polite speech, which is the main cause of bringing rapture or disrepute to a person. This is a prayer to the goddess to bless everyone with truthful and polite speech because it is through sacred words that a person earns great merits and good fortune. या श्रद्धा धारणा मेधा वाग्देवी विधि वल्लभा भक्ति जिह्वा गर्षदना समाधि गुणदायिनी. This is stanza number 40. O goddess of speech, beloved of Brahma, thou best of faith, con- concentration and intelligence, understanding. Thy home is the tongue tip of a devout soul. Thou bestow virtues like mount, restraint, etc. The goddess of speech, being the creative consciousness of non-dual Brahma, exists in the form of creative sound. Because of her, this entire universe comes into the manifested form of Hiranyagarbha Brahma. In this act of creation, she supports Lord Brahma, and thus she has been described as the beloved of the Lord Brahma, that devout soul who seeks only the truth by giving up ego and falsehood. The goddess resides in his mind and speech, bestowing virtues like faith, firmness, intelligence, etc. His words are the gems of truth. Worship of the goddess sharpens the mental and intellectual faculties of the devotee and grants clear understanding. Clarity and purity in the thought and speech is the first sign of her blessing. Stanza number 41. Namami Yamini Nath Lekham Alankrit Kuntalam Bhavani Bhavasantan Nirvan Sudhadim. Obeisance to thee, O Bhavani, thy hair locks Kuntala are decorated with the crescent moon Lekha of Lord Shankara. The master of sense is Yamini Nath. Thou art the stream of nectar Sudha Nadi that destroys the afflictions of the world. Stanza 42. Ye kavitvam niratantakam bhukti muchi cha vachati so abhyarchayanam tashalokya nityam stoti sarasvati. Whosoever desires faultless poetic skill, bliss of truth, existence, bhukti, bliss of savikalpa state and liberation, mukti, immortality of nirvikalpa state, he should regularly worship by glorifying the goddess Sarasvati with these 10 verses. Constant prayer to Goddess Sarasvati with the above 10 verses purifies the mind and the intellect. One becomes established in the truth, and whatever words one utters become poetry to the world. He experiences the bliss of savikalpa state, bhukti, and immortality of nirvikalpa state, mukti. One attains the supreme felicity of eternal life. In this aspect, Sarasvati is the goddess of supreme felicity. Stanza 43. Tassaivam satovato nityam sambhircha sarasvatim bhakti shraddha abhiyuktasya shanmasati pratyato bhavet. He who thus constantly extols and worships the goddess Sarasvati, to him who is endowed with faith and devotion, proof direct knowledge comes within 6 months. Those aspirants who give up vain pursuit of wealth and fame and regularly worship the goddess Sarasvati, seeking only the truth, attain the grace of the goddess within 6 months. The goddess bestows upon them peace of the soul and reveals the true nature of Brahma. This direct knowledge of truth is the ultimate proof of eternal life. Stanza number 44. Tatah parvartate vani savichaya lalit aksara gad padday atamkai sabdair परमे विविक्षते अश्रुते बुध्यते ग्रंथः प्राय सारस्वतः कवि. From him issues forth Sarasvati spontaneously, elegant words, prose and poetry comprising sounds of unfathomable import not mentioned explicitly. The poet whose deity is the goddess Sarasvati naturally comprehends the unheard text. Another name of goddess Sarasvati is Pratibha Shakti, intuitive power, who bestows the power to know the secret knowledge. A poet who understands the secret of the goddess Sarasvati comes to know of those texts which he has never heard of during his lifetime. These texts reside in the ether of causal space and are normally referred to as Akshalipi, etheric text. With the benediction of the goddess Sarasvati, he derives the secret knowledge which is the source of all mystical knowledge. He thus attains a status of omniscience. He alone is a true poet who has this mystical knowledge. Medha Suktam Mahanarayana Upanishad also glorifies the goddess Sarasvati thus: O goddess, favored by thee, one becomes a seer, by thee, one attains Brahma. Purusha and Prakriti. The dual aspect of goddess. Greatly pleased with the invocations, the great goddess Sarasvati manifests there in her ethereal effulgent form and reveals her true nature to the sages. Stanza number 45. Ittevam nischayam viprahasa hovacha Sarasvati. Pleased with the invocations of the sages, the goddess Sarasvati spoke, revealed the knowledge of self thus. Stanza 46. Atam vidya maya labda brahman eva sanatani brahmtvam me sada nityam satchidanand rupatah. Even Brahma obtained the eternal self-knowledge through me, being ever of the form of being awareness bliss. I am the eternal principle of Brahma. Stanza number 47. Prakti tattvam tatah sapastam satvadi gun samyata satyama bhati chichaya darpane pratibimbavata. Thereupon I became the Prakriti primordial matter by harmonizing samyam inherent characteristic constituents guna like sattva etc. In me is reflected the chit consciousness like an image in the mirror. Prakriti, the creatrix, is the primordial substance or matter which is neither a product of Brahma nor a real entity apart from Brahma. Gunas are the characteristics constituents which are inherent in Prakriti. These are referred to as sattva, intelligence, consciousness or awareness. Rajas, swift motion of elemental particles, and tamas, inertia of matter. These gunas are not qualities different from the substance but are one with the substance, and hence these are known as inherent characteristics constituents of Prakriti. In the absolute state of Brahma, the three gunas are totally absent. In the primordial state of unmanifested Prakriti, these three constituents lie in latent form. This Prakriti evolves into the manifested form through the creating power of Chit or consciousness, which is but a reflection of Brahma. Then through combinations of these three constituents, the entire creation of multitudes comes into existence. Creation of multitudes comes into existence. Stanza number 48. Ten chit pratibimben trivida bhati sa punah prakrte vichinnitaya purushottam puscham me. Though that reflection of Chit Prakriti shines threefold again and again, separate from Prakriti, I am also the Purusha. Prakriti, Prakriti is said to be threefold, which gross, definite or objective form, subtle, imperceptible or subjective form, and causal transcendental form of consciousness corresponding to three gunas of tamas, rajas and sattva. Purusha is said to be supercausal because it is beyond Prakriti. The next three verses describe the appearance of Maya and Isvara in non-dual Brahma. The goddess is Isvara due to Maya. Brahma is beginningless and endless, Anadi, Anantam, and hence known as eternal. The next three verses describe the relationship between Maya and Isvara. Maya is the process of becoming, which is a conscious process. However, Maya derives its sentience from Brahma. In association with this Maya Shakti, Brahma appears as Isvara. It is Isvara who guides and controls Maya in the entire creative process. The goddess, who is the eternal principle of Brahma, appears as Isvara due to the effect of the Maya. Stanza 49. शुद्ध सत्व प्रधानायाम मायायाम बिंबितो ह्युज्य है सत्व प्रधाना प्रकृति मायति प्रतिपाद्यते in the maya which is predominated by pure sattva consciousness is reflected the eternal unborn sattva dominated prakriti itself is known as maya. When there is predominance of sattva, pure consciousness among the characteristics constituents of the Prakriti, it is called Maya. Maya is the process of becoming in which all matter, energy and sound exist in an undifferentiated or avyakta state. The whole of creation lies in Maya in a seed state during cosmic dissolution. This Maya is the material cause of the universe. However, this process of becoming needs some efficient cause to will and to control the creation. The next two verses mention that Isvara, who is the reflection of Brahma in Maya, is the inner controller of the process of becoming. He is efficient cause of the creation. Stanza number 50. Sa Maya Savvashopadhi सर्वज्ञ से ईश्वरस्य हि वश्यमायतौ मेक्त्वं सर्वज्ञत्वं च तस्यतु. That Maya is the appearance subordinate to omniscient Ishvara, for lordship over Maya, oneness and omniscience belonging to him Ishvara alone. Shakta Upanishad says no Maya as Prakriti and Brahma associated with Maya as the great Isvara. This Maya is the causal body of Isvara and under his control. Isvara is the efficient cause of the universe who guides Maya in the entire creative process. Isvara is called omniscient because Brahma as pure spirit has no creation and hence no cognition of it. Stanza 51. Satvikvat smastitvat sakshitvat jagtamapi jagat kartum kartum chanithya kartum mishate yes Iswar ityuktah sarvagyatvadi bhirgunah. He who is of the nature of sattva consciousness, samasti collectiveness, sakshi witness of the universe, who holds the power to make or unmake or otherwise create universe, is the Lord of the universe, having virtues like omniscience, etc. Dual nature of Maya. The previous three verses describe the appearance of Isvara in non-dual Brahma, who is the efficient cause of the universe. The next five verses describe the world of duality created by Isvara and Jiva, who are but the different appearances of Brahma because of Maya. Stanza number 52. Sakti dvam hi maya ya vikshepa virti rupkam. Vikshep Shakti lingadi brahmandatah jagat sarjit. Maya has the dual potencies of projection, vikshepa, and concealment, avirti. The power of projection creates the entire subtle universe or Hiranyagarbha and the gross universe or Viraj. During cosmic dissolution, void verse 47, the three characteristics constituents which sattva, rajas and tamas exist in equilibrium state. Because of reflection of Brahma in this equilibrium state. Sattva dominated Prakriti emerges concealing all the fundamental particles in an unmanifested form. Void verse 49. The willpower of Isvara starts the action of Vikshepa Shakti. This is Rajas dominated Prakriti where space and time emerge because of the fast motion of fundamental particles under the force of projecting power. Vikshepa Shakti. This movement generates strong and weak nuclear forces which creates gross and subtle worlds through various combinations. In Vedanta, the projecting power is said to be preceded by the veiling power. However, here it has been described in the reverse order. The next verse shows the effect of veiling power under the influence of tamas or inertia. This power veils the non-dual reality and creates clear distinction between the seer and the seen and Brahma and the universe. Stanza number 53. Antar Drigdrishya Viveka Bhaisya Brahma Sargayoh Avarno Te Praha Shakti Sa Sansarasya Karanam. The other, apra, veiling power which differentiates bheda internally, antah, between the seer and the seen, drikdrishya, and externally between Brahma and the universe. Brahma Sragayo is the cause of the universe. According to Vedanta philosophy, Brahma is everything. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. For a Brahmagani, there is no real creation of the universe. Brahma alone appears as the manifold phenomenal universe because of Maya. The veiling power of Maya conceals the real non-dual Brahma and then presents an appearance of the objective universe through projecting power. This is the fundamental difference between the Vedanta philosophy and the philosophy of followers of Sankhya, Yoga, Vaisesika, Buddhism, etc., who believe in the multiplicity of the creation. Because of Maya, the witness self Brahma becomes conscious of the cosmic causal body and identifies himself with the totality of the souls. In this causal state, he is called Isvara, the indwelling spirit. He guides Maya from within in the manifestation of the subtle cosmic body, Hiranyagarbha, and subsequently in the manifestation of the gross cosmic body, Viraj. Thus, at the objective plane, externally, this universe appears to be real and independent of Brahma. At the subjective plane, internally, this Maya creates a differentiation of the seer from the seen in the mind, because of which the soul identifies itself with the subtle body, giving rise to individuality to the souls. The next verse describes the superimposition of jiva on the witness self, who considers itself as the doer or enjoyer in association with the gross body, and thus thinks itself under bondage and undergoing transmigration. Stanza 54. Sakshinah purto bhatam lingam dehen sanyuktam Chitichaya samavesat jiva syat vyavaharikah. The subtle body lingam appearing in close proximity purtaha with the witness consciousness sakshinah becomes empirical embodied self jiva by associating sanyuktam itself with the gross body deha on account of superimposition of reflection of the chit consciousness. The next verse shows that the idea of jiva and universe are falsely superimposed on the witness itself. Stanza 55. Asay jivatvama propat sakshine यवभाषते आवर्तौ सो तो विनिष्टायां भेदे भाते पयाति ततः तथा सर्ग ब्रह्मण्योश्च भेदवां वर्ते तिष्ठति. Superimposition of jivahood on atom appears even in the witness consciousness. This differentiation of appearance of the jiva in Atma also ceases once wailing power is destroyed. Similarly is the wailing of Brahma through creation of multitudes. Stanza 56 and 57. या शक्ति द्वासव्य विकृतत्वेन भासते अत्राप्य वर्तिनाशेन विभाति ब्रह्मण सर्गयोः भेदस्तयो विकारः स्यात् सर्गेण ब्राह्मणि कञ्चितः. Brahman appears mutable, Brahma appears mutable because of subservience to the creative power Shakti. Here again the difference between Brahma and the universe disappears once the wailing power is destroyed. Their difference due to mutation lies in the creation and never in Brahma. The above 6 verses describe the delusion created by the power of Maya. Maya, which has dual nature of projection and concealment, is in Brahma. It limits the indivisible nature of Brahma and makes it appear as the world object of enjoyment and the embodied being enjoyer. It is because of Maya that Jiva and Isvara appear to have different forms. Secondly, because of Maya, this universe appears to be real and different from Brahma. Thirdly, because of Maya, even Brahma appears to be mutable. The followers of philosophies of Vaiseshika, Sankhya and Yoga hold the view that liberation is attained when the witness detached nature of the Atma is known. But it is impossible to establish the detached nature of Atma as long as the world and Isvara are believed to be real and ever existing entities. Freedom of Atma from all attachment is possible only through the knowledge of non-duality. Thus, the fundamental real principle is non-duality, and the highest goal of life is the realization of non-duality. Now, therefore, commences the prescription for realization of non-duality by overcoming Maya. Prescription of Samadhi for realization of non-duality. The great goddess of knowledge, having bestowed the purity of mind and intellect, now shows the ways to overcome this dual nature of Maya and realize one's own true nature as Brahma. It is only a pure mind free from all impressions of the world which can remain absorbed in its own true nature. that samadhi, which follows after purity of the mind, is the chief means for realization of non-dual Brahma. Samadhi can be effective in the realization of non-duality only if all the impressions are effaced from the mind. Therefore follows the prescription of effacement of all worldly impressions associated with name and form. Stanza 58. अस्ति भाति प्रियं रूपं नाम चेतयं यंस पंचकम आदम त्रियं ब्रह्म रूपं जगत जगत रूपं ततो दिव्यम. There are indeed five factors which asti existence, bhati effulgence, priyam benevolence, rupam form, and nama name. The first three belong to Brahma and the other two constitute the world. Even entity has five characteristics. The first three, which asti, bhati, and priyam, corresponding to sat, chit, and ananda, are present in all entities being one with the Brahma. The other two, which name and form make one entity, differ from another. These two constitute the world of multiplicity. It is not enough if one has faith in non-duality. One must cast aside all names and forms which constitute multiplicity and constantly practice samadhi in order to enliven the face. Stanza 59. उपेक्षय नाम रूपे द्वय सच्चिदानंद तत्परः समाधिं सर्वदा कुर्याद्दे वाथैवा बहि. Discarding the two which name and form, be intent on the sat, asti, chit, bhati, ananda, priyam. Always practice samadhi, uninterrupted meditation within the heart or without. Shruti, like that Atma is not this, neti, negate all names and forms. This state of negation does not imply nothingness or void, but refers to a state of witness or Atma. This negation of all names and forms through yoga, samadhi in the heart, or intellectual discrimination of the self from non-self leads to a state of witness whose nature is sat, chit, and ananda. One should constantly practice meditation on these three permanent aspects of Brahma. This type of samadhi is called Bheda Samadhi, since here names and forms are rejected and the idea of Asat Bhati Priyam is assimilated. The next 6 verses describe the two types of samadhi, which is Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa, that should be practiced by the seekers of truth of non-duality. Savikalpa is again described here as twofold. The next 6 verses describe the two types of samadhi, which Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa, that should be practiced by the seekers of truth of non-duality. Savikalpa is again described here as twofold. Stanza 60. Savikalpo Nirvikalpah Samadhi Divvidho Hridayi दृश्य शब्दानु भेदेन स विकल्प है पुनर्द्विधा. Savikalpa with attributes and Nirvikalpa without attributes are the two types of samadhi practiced in the heart. That Savikalpa is again twofold. According to it, observing consciousness in the samadhi being associated with the drishya object or the shabda subjective sound or thought. In Savikalpa Samadhi, threefold consciousness of knower, knowledge, and known is not completely effaced from the intellect. Here, the intellect remains in a latent state, being identified with the causal body. This Savikalpa is an initial state of samadhi which becomes mature in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the threefold consciousness of knower, knowledge, and known is completely eliminated and the function of the intellect ceases completely. Here the mind becomes one with the supracausal body. In Savikalpa Samadhi, diversifying faculties of the intellect becomes inoperative by realizing the witness self subject as different from the seen object. Here the witness of self is perceived as pervading all objects. Alternatively, the illumined intellect can negate all superimpositions on the self in the realm of pure consciousness and remain detached from all the attributes. This samadhi is always associated with the luminous discriminative ideas like I am detached, etc., which is of the nature of illumined thoughts. These pure and luminous thoughts originate from the subtle Pashanti and superfine grade para of a sound is Shabda. Stanza 61. Kamadya chitagga drishya sakshi tven chetanam ध्याये दृश्य अनुविद्यो यम समाधि से विकल्प है. Desires are Kamadhya are objects that belong to the mind. Chittagga, practice of meditation on consciousness as their witness. Tat Sakshitvena is Savikalpa Samadhi conforming anuvid to the object. In this type of Savikalpa, as these desires are the objects of intellect, becomes passive to an desire all desires, as these desires are the objects of the mind. It is the mind that hankers after the objects of desire and not the consciousness. When the soul enters into the increasing depth of consciousness in the heart through extreme dispassion, it goes beyond the desire mind. The soul then becomes a witness of all the desires of the mind. Here all the desires are considered as objects different from the true nature of the being. Stanza number 62. Asangah Satchidanandah Swaprabho Dvait Varjite Asmit Shabd Vidvo Yam Samadhi Savikalpah. This is stanza number 62. I am free from worldly desires. I am of the nature of being, awareness, bliss. I am self-effulgent. I am bereft of duality, etc. is the discipline of Savikalpa Samadhi conforming to subjective sound. In this type of samadhi, the intellect becomes passive to the sense perception by the power of discriminative knowledge. When the soul recedes into the increasing depth of the heart, it hears the subjective sound through suprasensory faculties. The soul then gets immersed in this suprafine grade of sound and derives bliss, being free from the limitations of the thought mind. Here the sadhaka enters into the samadhi through the efficacy of the sharp discriminative knowledge and identifies himself with the subject or pure consciousness. This plane of pure consciousness unfolds the infinite wisdom of prajna. Stanza number 63. Sva sab anubhuti रस वेश शब्द उपेक्षितु निर्विकल्प समाधि शानित्वात् स्थिति दीपवतः. But to by becoming indifferent upekshaya to objects and sounds on account of complete absorption avesha in the bliss rasa of realization of the self sava anubhuti, the mind remains sayat steady in nirvikalpa samadhi like unflickering flame of a lamp deepavat in windless place nivat sitata. When the mind gives up all the ideas of object and subject, it enters into nirvikalpa state on account of the complete absorption in the bliss of the self. Nirvikalpa samadhi is the culmination of constant practice of savikalpa samadhi. The Bhagavad Gita also compares the mind of such a yogi who constantly practices samadhi with the unflickering flame of a lamp in a windless spot. This samadhi is the result of extreme dispassion, vairagya, and sharp discrimination, viveka. Stanza number 64. Hriday va bahye deso api yasmin kasmichay vastuni samadhiradhe sanmatra annarup prakriti. Like Savikalpa Samadhi within the heart, twofold Savikalpa Samadhi can also be practiced with the help of any external object by separating discriminating name and form from the pure being. Yoga philosophy prescribes Samadhi within the heart through an eightfold discipline. Ashtanga Yoga, while Sankhya knowledge philosophy emphasizes discrimination of Purusha, the pure being, from Prakriti for attainment of a state beyond mind. The Upanishads have delineated many vidyas for meditation. Just as a yogi attains sahaja natural samadhi by placing the prana in the Sushmana Nadi, similarly, a jnani lives in samadhi by practicing concentration on the Sat Chit Ananda aspect of an entity. He perceives only the real substance of an entity and not its name and form. Both the paths lead to the same goal of an illumined state of mind. Stanza number 65. सतविधि भावो रसस्वादात् तृतीयः पूर्वोन्मतः एतैः समाधिभिः षडिभिन्येत कालं निरन्तरम्. The aforesaid third nirvikalpa or thoughtless state is attained when mind becomes extinct. Satabdha, because of experience of supreme bliss. One should constantly spend nyayat, the time, in these 6 types of samadhis for attaining liberation. Superconscious state of nirvikalpa samadhi is attained by constantly seeing all in the self and the self in all. The mind of a jnani merges in the self and ultimately realizes that everything is self. Patanjali Yoga aphorism also emphasizes the constant practice for restraint of the mind. The goal of the individual soul is freedom from the slavery of the mind and its thoughts. This Upanishad recommends 6 types of samadhi for this end. When the meditation on the attributeless self is matured, it leads to Savikalpa Samadhi, which in turn culminates in Nirvikalpa Samadhi of no mind, Nirodha state. In this state, all interest in sense objects is completely erased from the mind and it merges with the self alone. The mind, being bereft of all desire, attains liberation, realization of the Supreme Self. Stanza number 66. देहा अभिमाने गलिते विज्ञाते परमात्मनि यत्र तत्र मनो तत्र तत्र परामर्तम. With the effacement of ego in the body and realization of the Supreme Self, wherever the mind may rest, there it experiences supreme nectar of immortality. The self is different from the gross, subtle and causal bodies. However, this difference should not create a sense of reality of the body. The self is said to be different from the body only to illustrate the transient nature of the body and not for proving the duality of the self and the body. The self is the substratum of all names and forms, and thus they are nothing but illusory. It is present in every form, yet it transcends them all. Thus the idea of the pervaded and the pervading is also illusory. The highest realization is that where one perceives no differences of any kind in the self. It is a state where all becomes one with the self. All this is Atma. Brihadanyaka Upanishad says, when one realizes all as identified with the Atma, there arises neither delusion nor sorrow for such a sphere of unity. Isa Upanishad, the mind of that sphere of unity experiences supreme bliss of immortal life under all circumstances. Stanza 67. Vidyate hridaya granthi chadante sarvasansaya aksiyante chase karmani tasmin drishti pravare. The note of the heart, desire clinging to one's heart, is rent asunder. All doubts are obliterated. All karmas, three types of karma, viz. Prarabdha, Sanchita and Agami, are annihilated when the self, which is both the higher and the lower, is realized, perceived. This sloka is also found in the Mundaka Upanishad, which shows the efficacy of the supreme knowledge that ensues from the realization of the attributeless self. The self has to be realized in its fullness everywhere, both as lower manifested and higher transcendental. In the highest state of realization, all differentiations like lower and higher, interior and exterior, etc., cease to exist. Therefore, the next sloka mentions that even the differentiation of Jiva and Isvara is illusory. The mind of a self-realized seer has nothing to accept or reject, and hence no doubt ever arises in him. Here the word all karmas is used in a plural sense, which shows that after realization of the self, even prarabdha karma ceases to exist. Stanza number 68. Mai jivat mishatvam kalpitam vastuto nahi iti yastu vijanati se mukto natri sansya itupanishad. This is stanza 60. State of Jiva, individual soul, and Isvara, super soul, are all imagination of mind and do not exist in reality in me. He who knows this truth is verily free. There is not even the least doubt in this. This is the Upanishad. This may be said to be the ultimate conclusion of this Upanishad. Having revealed the power of omniscience of Ishvara and the nature of Maya, the great goddess finally refutes any differentiation of Ishvara and Jiva in non-dual Brahma. The Sarasvati-rahasya Upanishad also says that he is fear-stricken who makes the slightest distinction between the Jivatma individual self and the Paramatma supreme self. The Svetasvara Upanishad, in order to elucidate the glory of the imperishable self, says that the Lord of Maya, Isvara, creates the universe while Jiva is controlled by Maya. However, this imperishable self is worthy of being adored even by the Creator, who is the highest being conceivable from our relative point of view. Those who have not realized the non-dual self are seen to be deluded by false knowledge and frequently quarrel over the superiority and inferiority of Ishvara and Jiva, which are creations of Maya. Therefore, the seekers of liberation should never engage themselves in disputations about the nature of Jiva and Isvara. They should constantly practice discrimination and realize the non-dual self, which is both the higher and the lower. Liberation is nothing but being established in one's own self. Om Tat Sat. So this way, this Upanishad is completed. Along with this video number 2 on Sarasvati Upanishad is also completed. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you. Namaskar.